It's the same problem like theists face in trying to explain why awful things happen to babies.
You know what I think?
What?
I think karma's an element. It's
Yeah.
an element of existence, but it's not a rule. It's like they're evil people live to be 100, get away with it.
Well, for karma to really work, you need reincarnation. That's where the math goes into the unquantifiable. So so for karma to really work, it could work in a very simple mechanistic way with just one life, but the idea is that there's different types of karma. So there's the karma that's happening right now. This is like flowering karma. But there's karma like seeds of shit that you did a while ago. Like when all of a sudden like someone calls you up and is like, hey, I'm your son. And you're like, what? Like, yeah, I'm your kid. That's like that seed has been in you, and then it grows into the present moment. And then there's karma that's the same idea, but from past lives. So that's where it gets really fucking weird. And I guess there's some like very blurry way you could connect that to epigenetics. You know what I mean? It's like epigenetics is sort of the way like you get reincarnation into biology, except it's obviously not reincarnation, it's your ancestors. But it's essentially the same concept, except one is quantifiable, the other is mystical.
I wonder if epigenetics is, if you're imparting some of your mind, some of your thinking to a child.
Yeah.
I wonder what effect it would have at the age you were when you had the child.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah.
Like,
you're
Al Pacino's kid is going to be amazing.
Amazing.
He's 82.
82.
Shooting live rounds.
Incredible.
Into a 29-year-old hottie.
And people are fucking mad at him.
What are they mad at?
They're mad because they think if you're that old,
you're not going to be able to care for that child. Yeah.
Well, that's one. That's to me. That's the most logical. If you are going to be such an asshole that you're criticizing Al Pacino for procreating, don't you want more Pacinos? He's a great fucking actor, and you know. but the other one is just like that age gap is insurmountable, and
well, I don't think it was his idea.
How may I?
No.
Yeah, I think he didn't have a paternity test? Exclusive, this is a real special coming at this time. Al Pacino, 83, breaks silence to celebrate 29-year-old girlfriend's pregnancy after claims he demanded paternity test because she hoodwinked him. Yeah, there it is. The actor revealed his girlfriend, Noor Al-Fala, were expecting last week. Initial reports claimed that Al was not pleased over the baby. But how do we know? You know, it's like people say things like that.
Because look, right underneath
which he has now confirmed.
Underneath it says his voiced his delight.
Sources told Daily Mail that wasn't true, which is now confirmed. So that means it wasn't true.
Not true.
They didn't hoodwink him.
Yeah.
See the way they phrase that? That's weird. Sources told Daily Mail that wasn't true, which he has now confirmed. Look at the headline. Look at the headline.
Fucking assholes.
This is so crazy. They're basically saying this is not true. So he's delighted to have a baby with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And so people made up this story, and we read it because it's the headline.
Why not just be like Al Pacino chopped his kid into bits, and then underneath say he didn't chop his kid into bits?
Look, he's walking around. He's smiling. He
He
says
looks
it's very
great.
special. Yeah. Listen, man, them anti-aging doctors, get him on the happy sauce. Who knows?
Yeah, man, look at that.
Look, he's wearing comfortable shoes. I would wear
He's
those
fucking cool. Look at that.
shoes. I would wear those shoes. It's old men's shoes.
Wow.
Look at him. Looks fine.
He looks
he's out
great.
going for walks.
How old is he?
Hey, who's that with him? No, that's that other actor guy, isn't it? No.
Looks like Andy Garcia a little bit.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. You sure? No, it's probably his friend.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, things to do in Denver when you're dead. Underrated movie. Andy Garcia.
I never saw that.
It was like their version. It was like when Pulp Fiction had just come out and everybody wanted everything to be fucking cool.
Okay.
Things became cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I remember that.
Cool.
That's got to be cool for Tarantino to like watch his shit echo out, like to watch it shape culture. That's so badass that you can do that.
Amazing. He's
Yeah.
very important. He's very important because he's grandfathered in. Like, his movies are fucking bananas.
Yeah.
Like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was fucking crazy.
So great.
And he's grandfathered in a way like, you know what a Tarantino movie is.
Right.
Have you seen Kill Bill? Have you seen Inglourious Basterds? Have you seen these movies?
Yeah.
Then shut the fuck up, because you know what you're in for.
Right.
Whereas, I think if you were a young director, and that was like your first film, people would go, the violence was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
It was so egregious. It was so, like the language, the way they talk. People would find criticism in it, I think.
You see in interviews, he is like so frustrated with the like endless question he gets from hack reporters who are like, violence. What about the violence?
Yeah.
Like, he just is done with that. It must be. I mean, it's so annoying to get that same question over to make great movies. What? Like, when did journalism turn into scolding? Because it wasn't the idea like you ask people questions, but there isn't a moral twist to it. Or am I imagining it?
No, you're not imagining it. Well, Barbara Walters used to do it a little bit. That was like, she was kind of famous for being a tough interviewer. She'd interview people and ask them like uncomfortable questions.
Yeah. But it's like, when it's got that, it's not even like they're asking you questions about shit you lied about.
Right, they're making a moral judgment on you.
They're essentially saying, why are you a bad person?
Right, why are you making movies that show horrible things?
Yeah.
You're contributing to this horrible culture we have, which is not true. That doesn't really work. Like, that correlation doesn't work, because when you look at some countries, like, I think is it Japan that has a very high rate of... They play a lot of violent video games, but they have way less violence.
Oh, yeah, right.
Is that it? Did I read that? Like, they've tried to make correlations between violent video games and actual violence.
That is so dumb.
And some people think that it might actually have the opposite effect. That there is a potential in some humans that they play those violent video games and they would get out any kind of wild, crazy instinct that they might have. Like, I want you to imagine if epigenetics are real.
Yes.
If you're really, there's a certain amount of us, they're imparting memories of being in war to other kids.
Yeah.
And this is going into your baby, and the mindset is going into your baby.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's an inescapable reality.
Yeah,
if there's a thing like a video game that lets them express that part of their brain without actually having a desire to do it.
Yeah.
And no judgments, but it almost makes sense that it would work to actually stop violence.
Right.
So the idea is like, what is promoting violence? And my answer to that is like, being a human, poverty, putting someone through a terrible life, like forcing someone into bad situations. That's what creates all of it. And until we address, it's like very weird the way we address the problem of violence. Because we only look at it in terms of the action itself. We don't want to go all the way back to the source. We don't want to go back and try to fix the source.
Well, there's a big problem that happens when you start doing that, is instead of being able to transform violent people into one-dimensional sociopathic creatures, suddenly you get back far enough and they're, watching their mom and dad OD on heroin.
Yeah.
Or they're, whatever it is. And again, not to say we don't need prisons and justice and all that, but when you realize, oh yeah, you're just looking at like a misplaced defense mechanism that this human had to learn because of whatever they fucking came out of. Now, I'm not saying it's all sociopaths had horrific experiences. I just looking at my own shitty defense mechanisms and then like going in therapy and connecting them to the past, it's easy to see where like the aspects of my personality that are not conducive to harmony came from.
Yeah.
It's just that, the kids are fucking so tough. They have to adapt.
Yeah, kids adapt and they develop these weird defense mechanisms.
And then add to that the epigenetic component, and then the United States has been at war 93% of its history.
Yeah.
So now you're just looking at like some
insane number of people that are transmitting memories of being at war.
Yeah.
To their children. And, that was my theory about why history was so barbaric but if you go far back enough, the pyramids. So like, what happened between then and like say the Mongols? What happened? What was the transition? Why did people get so barbaric? I think they're the people that survived the impact.
Right.
I think when the Younger Dryas impact happened, if it happened 11,800 years ago, I believe, I think the people that survived that were fucking monsters. I'm out of mind. Right. I bet it was a total breakdown of any civilization. That's why civilization doesn't really pop up again for 6,000 years.
Yeah.
I think for thousands of years we were monsters.
Dude, it's so funny that that on our planet are all of these mega structures that we just are like, I don't really know. It's just that always blows my mind that like all over the planet, signs.
Did you see that one I posted on Instagram the other day?
No.
Oh my god, this is fucking insane.
What is it?
Oh, shit.
What?
Where did I leave my phone?
There's a phone right there.
Where? Oh, it was hidden by my mic. Sorry. I'm gonna send it to Jamie right now. You got it? Yeah. So, check this out. Give me some volume on this.
Central Java's lush-headed plains and pursuit of this mythical creature near the little settlement of Burra. They chopped and burned the strangling vegetation for 6 weeks and removed tons of volcanic ash. What they discovered were marvelous figures cut in stone. Thousands of them were hidden beneath the volcanic jungle. Believed to have been built in the 8th and 9th century, the Borobudur Temple is an uncontested marvel whose intricate architecture continues to confound scholars. Despite being one of the most important sites on Java, there is no written record of who erected it or what its intended purpose was. Because there are no inscriptions or dates on the monument, historians must make educated guesses as to when it was most likely created. The dating estimates are based purely off of architectural comparisons found elsewhere in Indonesia. Given the magnitude of the construction, it appears remarkable that no ruler or dynasty took credit for it. Borobudur is the world's biggest Buddhist temple, and yet nobody knows who built it. On the Indonesian...
That's cool.
Yeah. Jamie, I'm sending you another one right now. I mean, there's a bunch of these things. There's a bunch of things like that. They're just like, I don't know.
So,
who made this?
Okay, what are your thoughts on mud flood?
What's mud flood?
Mud flood theory.
Oh.
Well,
I think that goes along with the Younger Dryas impact theory,
but
right?
mud...
Check this out, though, real quick. I want you to watch this, because this is same account.
Set out to empty ponds that residents say is locked out of the long located in the village of massive and majestic ancient underground world. The long also known as the Shaolin Stone Chambers, are thought to date back to at least 2,000 years and represent one of the largest underground excavations of ancient times, as well as an ongoing mystery that has confounded scientists from every discipline that has researched them. Scientists from archaeology, architecture, engineering, and geology around the world have no understanding who or why the Longyou caves were carved into the earth. Currently, 24 hand-carved caves encompassing a staggering 30,000 square meters have been found so far.
Jesus.
Each grotto is carved into solid siltstone and descends roughly 30 meters down, with stone rooms, bridges, gutters, and ponds. The Longyou caves are supported by pillars that are evenly dispersed throughout the caves, and the walls, ceiling, and stone columns are uniformly decorated with chisel marks in a pattern of parallel lines and ornate designs. Despite their magnitude and the work required to build them, no indication of their construction, or even their existence, has been discovered in archival sources. Despite the fact that the whole excavation involved about 1 million cubic meters of stone, there is no archaeological evidence of stone, nor is there evidence of the work of Furthermore, there is a single historical source that mentions them, which is extremely remarkable given the scope of the undertaking. Despite their depth of analysis, the Longyou caves mystery remains essentially unsolved.
What the fuck, dude?
You know, when people like bash Hancock or try to dismiss it or debunk it, it's so frustrating to me because first of all, nobody builds something that big underground just for fun. Like, you know what I mean? I think we burrowed in. We had to, like, whatever happened, or maybe something happened and then we were so scared it would happen again, we created, that's like an ancient survival shelter.
Well, they have them in Turkey as well. There's these giant is that where it was? Where Randall told us
Dude,
about?
those are crazy. Those are crazy with like air ducts and just insane. And it's like, you don't do that unless you have to.
Right.
You don't burrow like a human ant nest.
Yeah, these things. Like the amount of resources it took to do what these people did. These were huge chambers carved into stone.
And the
They
trick,
think that the sky was like fucking raining lightning at one point.
yeah, pole shift. I mean, to me, the really eerie thing about all of this is the information gap. It's that we have this massive, like the hard drive has been like fragmented from what, like we just don't know.
But thank God they made everything out of stone. The thing about it is, whatever their technology was that existed to make the pyramids, it was different. We make everything out of metal and glass, and that shit's not going to be here in 10,000 years. It's just not going to be here. It'll all get destroyed by just Mother Nature. It'll just eventually get... Like, I think they've done, like, analysis of, like, how much of a city will be around after 500 years of just vacancy. And after 1,000 years. Well, Detroit is a great example. You see what happens in Detroit?
Yeah.
Houses are just getting taken over by trees.
Yeah.
Like, trees go through the roof. They go through the floor. They're literally devouring the homes. The homes that are abandoned are getting eaten by trees.
So cool.
It's very cool. But it shows you it didn't take... I mean, nature has a long lifespan. It doesn't give a fuck if it takes 100 years to reclaim a house.
Right.
Take a house apart. Just get the roots of the trees, start busting through, everything's rained on, the wood sawed eats, it breaks apart.
It eats everything.
Eats everything.
Assimilates everything. There's like this, humans have this interesting like temporal blindness, like the way time passes for us produces the illusion of solidity. And so that confuses people because they think that there's permanence here, when if we could just see, if we lived longer and we could see time faster, we would feel like we were in some kind of like ocean of like undulating matter with these voids in it that we hang out in, like little bubbles in the ocean. That's what we build our houses in. We wouldn't look at this place as solid. We wouldn't think of it as like permanent. This is why everyone was so like fucked up by the pandemic. It's because, you watch enough TV, you buy into the permanence of civilization. Suddenly civilization like has a little rumble, like a little like a house that needs some kind of serious repair. It shifts on it shifts a little bit.
Yeah.
And everyone was like reminded, this doesn't last any more than any of that shit lasted. And I think that's very disturbing for people who've really anchored themselves in some notion of permanence here.
Yeah.
Freaks people out.
Well, I think that was a great ad for psilocybin.
Yes. Psilocybin.
That's what that was. That was an awesome ad for psilocybin.
Ozempic now has psilocybin in it, which is
That's
incredible.
better. That's better. You realize why you're fat. It'll show you everything. It'll show you all the wires.
You need
underneath
it,
the board,
dude. The whole thing, like this is one of the really funny things about humans. We are capable of ignoring internal realities. Like we can somehow distract ourselves from the obvious cause of our suffering and equate it with a million other things than just what it actually is. Like, dude, I got so fat during the pandemic, fatter than I've ever been. It wasn't a mystery to me.
Right.
Like I knew why I was fat, but like it is curious that like there's a way that you can just kind of like ignore that. Or like when I was drinking too much, you can ignore that you're waking up with like a low-level flu every morning. Like you can somehow ignore. It's so interesting.
And it's common.
Well,
Most people do it, especially because it's so fun to party.
It's so fun.
When they're out there partying and getting lit, it's a good time.
It is a great, dude. It is outside of the way it makes you feel the next day. I mean, what a wonderful high. I think what sucks about alcohol as a drug is that it's a depressant, and if you just do like one drink and practice mindfulness with that and watch, you realize like this is like, this sucks. Like, it goes away real quick. It lasts, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour. Then you want to go back up.
Right.
But your liver can't process it enough, and that's where the hangover comes from. It's like
Well, it's also dehydration.
dehydration.
And glutathione, you can mitigate some of that with glutathione.
I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah. Liposomal glutathione, I think, is the best. That's some stuff you squirt under your tongue and it holds there and it gets into your bloodstream better. But IV is the best. If you can get an IV glutathione, that's the best.
Dude, if you're drinking so much that you're getting IVs, like, you gotta think about that.
Or if you want to continue having a good time, but you want to take care of your body, get an IV.
You know what? Listen. I sound like a prude. I don't care if people
No,
out there.
you don't sound like a prude. You sound like Duncan Trussell right now. This is who you are right now. This is where you are, honestly, in your life. And in other points in your life, it's been different.
Right.
It's normal. That's how all of us are.
Incarnation.
Yeah, and that's why when you see someone who makes a turn for the best, like you see good things happen to them, they have a sparkle in their eye and they're excited.
Yeah.
You get excited too. It's fun. It's great.
Right.
Because it isn't great if you're always like that. It's really great if you figure it out. It's like if your life has been kind of fucked and then you went, what am I doing?
Right.
And then pieced it back together again. Then you're thankful every day.
Right.
Then you're appreciative every day.
Yeah.
It's like those negative things are actually, they can be positive.
Absolutely. Dude, this is another, like, this is the other thing. Like, we focus on half of what's really happening. Like, people focus on the light and what's good and when things are going right for them, completely ignoring the fact that, like, in general, when shit's going bad, like, that's the stuff that's made you interested. Like, down the road, that's what the stories are told about. That's, like, what the jokes are written about. Not the good times. Like, the bad times, that's the fertilizer, man.
Yeah.
There's a saying, no mud, no lotus. You ever heard that before?
No, I like that, though.
And the two are completely connected, like, especially if you zoom out of time.
Yeah.
And you'll realize you're growing out of your worst moment, hopefully for the better.
Yeah.
And the worst moment actually made you smarter. It made you, like, appreciate life more. It made you, like, less, like, dude, once I got my ball cut off, that was a fucking game changer, dude. Because, like, you just learn how to be in the present moment. Like, you can't get off, you like, your illusion of immortality is destroyed.
Yeah.
And you need that. Like, it's
Yeah.
really not good if you think you're gonna live forever.
I think that's one of the good things about jiu-jitsu.
Until next time.
You almost get close to death
Oh yeah,
all the time,
yeah.
you know, and you're so exhausted that it's easier to live in the moment. You're so less anxious.
Right.
I mean, I know I'm fucking beating a dead horse, but I think people need physical struggle, not just even exercise. I think you need exercise, but you need exercise that's rigorous.
Right.
You know, and if you can only do walks, that's cool. Do that. It's definitely better than not doing that.
Right.
Walks are great. Look at Al Pacino. He looked great out there. I bet he's got a trainer.
Look,
But point is,
anything.
like, it helps your anxiety. It helps the way you think in a big way. And I'm thinking about it right now because I hurt my back a couple days ago. Like, actually, it's about a week now. Deadlifting. Shouldn't have done it.
That will
Stupid.
fuck you up.
Stupid.
Yeah,
And
blood, eh?
it's not
Give
bad,
it out
but it's
to you
annoying.
then.
And it's waking me up to this, like,
I cannot do that here.
I need time to do that.
I need more time.
I lack the needed mana. I need time to prepare.
I'm out of mana. Thanks. I cannot carry more. I cannot carry more.
Out of mana once again.
Lilith will be pleased.
My bags are full. I cannot carry more. Not while I'm in town.
Out for blood, eh? I'll shake on that to you then.
My burden is too great.
The forge is ready for whatever you need. Come back if you need the forge. Without you. Wouldn't have made it without you. You're a saint.
It's locked.
I need time to prepare that.
ready yet.
Out of mana once again. Out of mana once again. I need time to prepare.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
proper tools of vengeance. Have a look. Luck to you then.
I cannot do that here.
I need time to do that. precious mana. I need time to prepare that.
I'm not ready yet.
Oh no!
I need time to prepare that.
ready yet.
I'm low on precious mana. Be time to be back.
I need more time. I'm not ready yet.
Separated. My friends were cut down. I won't last on my own. Can't take anymore.
I need more time.
I lack the needed mana. I need time to prepare that.
I appreciate that.
Come back. I need time to prepare that.
Oh no!
I need more time. Thanks.
ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I need time. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that.
is done.
And lost. And found. And lost.
I cannot do that here.
reality of what happens when you don't work out for a few days, because I haven't really been able to work out. And I just started doing some stuff. I found out I can do some stuff. I just got to be careful because I don't want to re-aggravate it, because I don't want it to take longer than it. So 2 days in a row I didn't work out, which is really rare for me. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't feel good. Like I feel like, ugh.
Yeah.
I feel like shitty. I feel off.
Yeah.
Like even the sun's on, like.
Ignore that. Or like when I was drinking too much, you can ignore that you're waking up with like a low-level flu every morning. Like you can somehow ignore. It's so interesting.
And it's common.
Well, yeah.
Most people do it, especially because it's so fun to party.
It's so fun.
When they're out there partying and getting lit, it's a good time.
It is a great, dude. It is outside of the way it makes you feel the next day. I mean, what a wonderful high. I think what sucks about alcohol as a drug is that
it's a depressant.
It's a depressant, and if you just do like one drink and practice mindfulness with that and watch, you realize like this sucks. Like it goes away real quick. It lasts, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour. Then you want to go back up.
Right.
But your liver can't process it enough, and that's where the hangover comes from. It's like,
well, it's also dehydration.
Dehydration.
And glutathione. You can mitigate some of that with glutathione.
I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah. Liposomal glutathione, I think, is the best. That's some stuff you squirt under your tongue and you like hold it there and it gets into your bloodstream better. But IV is the best. If you can get an IV glutathione, that's the best.
Dude, if you're drinking so much that you're getting IVs, you gotta think about that.
Or if you want to continue having a good time, but you want to take care of your body, get an IV.
You know what? Listen. I sound like a prude. I don't care if people out there.
No, you don't sound like a prude. You sound like Duncan Trussell right now. This is who you are right now. This is where you are, honestly, in your life. And at other points in your life, you've been different.
Right.
It's normal. That's
how
all of us
incarnation.
are. Yeah, and that's why when you see someone who makes a turn for the best, like you see good things happen to them and they get the sparkle in their eye and they're excited, you get excited too. It's fun. It's great.
Right.
Because it isn't great if you're always like that. It's really great if you figured it out. It's like if your life has been kind of fucked and then you went, what am I doing?
Right.
And then pieced it back together again. Then you're thankful every day.
Right.
Then you're appreciative every day.
Yeah.
It's like those negative things are actually, they can be positive.
Absolutely. Dude, this is this is the other thing. Like, we focus on half of what's really happening. Like, people focus on the light and what's good and when things are going right for them, completely ignoring the fact that, like, in general, when shit's going bad, like, that's the stuff that's made you interesting. Like, down the road, that's what the stories are told about. That's like what the jokes are written about, not the good times. Like the bad times, that's the fertilizer, man.
Yeah.
There's a saying, no mud, no lotus. You ever heard that before?
No, I like that though.
And the two are completely connected, like, especially if you zoom out of time.
Yeah.
And you'll realize you're growing out of your worst moment, hopefully for the better.
Yeah.
And the worst moment actually made you smarter. It made you, like, appreciate life more. It made you, like, less, like, dude, once I got my ball cut off, that was a fucking game changer, dude. Because, like, you just learn how to be in the present moment. Like, you can't get off, you like, your illusion of immortality is destroyed.
Yeah.
And you need that. Like, it's really not good if you think you're going to live forever.
I think that's one of the good things about jiu-jitsu. You almost get close to death.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
And you're so exhausted that it's easier to live in the moment. You're so less anxious.
Right.
I mean, I know I'm fucking beating a dead horse, but I think people need physical struggle, not just even exercise. I think you need exercise, but you need exercise that's rigorous.
Right.
And if you can only do walks, that's cool. Do that. It's definitely better than not doing that.
Right.
Walks are great. Look at Al Pacino. He looked great out there. I bet he's got a trainer.
Look,
But point is,
anything.
like, it helps your anxiety. It helps the way you think in a big way. And I'm thinking about it right now because I hurt my back a couple days ago. Like, actually, it's about a week now. Deadlifting. Shouldn't have done it.
That will fuck you up.
Stupid. It's not bad, but it's annoying. and it's waking me up to this like reality of what happens when you don't work out for a few days, because I haven't really been able to work out. And I just started doing some stuff. I found out I can do some stuff. I just got to be careful because I don't want to re-aggravate it, you know, because I don't want it to take longer than it. So 2 days in a row I didn't work out, which is really rare for me. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't feel good. Like I feel like, ugh.
Yeah.
I feel like shitty. I feel off.
Yeah.
You know, like even the sun's not like pepping me up. I go outside, stare at the sun. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Beautiful clouds in the sky. I'm like, eh. And I'm like, oh, you little pussy, you have to work out. You can't work out.
Right.
Oh, my God. So now this is how, imagine that times like 20 years for some people of eating shitty, too. Not even eating good.
Right.
And then not working out.
Right.
And that's most people.
And so your like normal reality
Yeah.
is this like you're in a kind of decayed
Yeah.
building. You haven't been, it's like walking the dog. You know what I mean? Like if you don't take your dog for walks, what happens to the dog? Gets nervous, gets weird, right?
Gets depressed.
Your body is your dog.
Yeah,
And,
right.
like, you know, so it's going to do the same thing. It just gets all freaked out.
My dog needs exercise. He loves it. He loves it. I pick up that fucking ball. I have a ball thrower. One of them. It's like a addle looking thing with a ball on the end of it, so you can really chuck it. He gets so pumped.
It's a great dog, man.
I go, dude, I got the ball. He's like, no way. I go, it's right here. He's like, no, we're going to chase the ball. I'm like, fuck, yeah. So I get him all hyped up first. I get all excited.
Yeah, get him excited.
Yeah, I get excited. I go, oh, here we go, here we go. He loves it.
Dude, my fucking poodle loves to get the ball. Will not bring it back.
You got to train him to do that.
Oh,
You
man,
gotta-
I've
but
tried.
Retrievers, you do it instantly.
Yeah,
Marshall did it.
in them.
Marshall did it like from the time he was a little bitty puppy. I'd throw something for him, he'd grab it and bring it right back. He didn't want to let it go, but he
Right.
wanted to bring it back. But if you say, come on, drop it, drop it,
Yeah.
drop it. Hey, come on, dude. He'll drop it.
Drop it.
But then he's looking at you like he's smiling. He wants to play a little tug of war, so I'll play a little tug of war with him. He's so playful.
Dude, that is definitely the coolest dog I've ever met. Like,
He's
that is
amazing.
a mystical creature. You
He's
feel like you're
amazing.
being visited by some kind of, like, magic dog.
Dude.
So happy.
He's so happy. And when I watch TV, he just hops up and cuddles. He just wants to cuddle with me when I watch
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he does.
Used to be a wolf.
Yeah. There's a photo on his Instagram, the most recent photo that we put up. Like, this is me watching TV, and homeboy just, like, hops up to hang out with me. That's what he does.
So sweet.
He hops up and he cuddles with you. He wants to cuddle. He's just all love. Everybody. You come over to the house, like you never met him before. He's like, you're my favorite person.
You see this? This is going to be the aliens posing with us in about 50 years.
I hope I
right?
don't have to wear a collar. I'll be a good boy. I won't run into traffic.
You're going to have to prove yourself first.
I used to love to take him with no leash when I lived in California because I'd take him in the canyons and we'd run around. But unfortunately, that's a little more problematic where I live. But I think dogs, they need something, man. They need exercise. They need love. They're like they're a little version of you in some strange way.
Yep.
You know, and they're a reflection of the owner in some strange way.
Do you buy into the idea that like dogs and their owners kind of start looking like each other?
Yeah, people always say that. I don't think I look like Marshall. He doesn't look like me. But he's the sweetest.
He does when you have your rough costume on.
I don't know. That's the original Marshall. That's a wolf. That's what's crazy. That used to be a wolf.
Right.
That someone took the most ferocious, predatory beast of the forest that operates in packs and they communicate telepathically. Yeah. And they turned that thing into this adorable love sponge. Dude,
okay. When was the last time, this connects, when was the last time you read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Oh, it's been a long time.
Okay. I think I must have read it when I was in high school and just didn't pay attention. It's completely different from the movie. Like 100% different.
Oh, maybe I never read it.
Ken Kesey, he was like...
Ken Kesey wrote it?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
So it's so psychedelic. The book is so psychedelic, but, you know, like the idea is that the character of McMurphy, Jack Nicholson's character, and again, this is my own analysis. I don't know what the actual like literary analysis of it is. He represents an undomesticated human, and the people in the ward are humans that couldn't function in what he calls society the Combine. They couldn't function in the Combine, so they're being brought into the asylums to get like re-domesticated so they could function in the Combine. And he represents like an undomesticated human who enters into like a conditioning center designed to melt people back down, build them back up, and send them out into the world and be good, functioning, domesticated humans. It's so good. It's so subversive, dude. It's such a brilliant, like, it's so funny how different the movie is from it. Like like Nurse Ratched, and again, because the narrator is Chief, the big Native American dude who's in the movie, that's the narrator of the book. It's being told from his perspective. So you don't know like how much of what he's reporting is real and how much is like he's in a mental asylum, right?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I know, it's so good. But according to him, Nurse Ratched can control time. She'll speed up time so that like a year goes by in a day, or slow down time so that like a second lasts like 10 years. And that's just one of the many ways that she's basically torturing the people in the ward.
Oh my God.
She's constantly giving them drugs, tying them to their beds, and always this threat is hovering, which is if you fuck up too much, if you get too angry at Nurse Ratched, who is a monster, essentially the way he describes it, it's the demiurge, just the Antichrist, then you know what happens? They're going to fucking give you a lobotomy. They're going to cut out your brain, turn you into a zombie.
And you know they really did that.
Yeah.
They really did that.
They really did that.
They really did that.
I had a professor in college who used to work at an asylum and was the weirdest dude ever. It was an awful class on like psychiatry. And he was kind of talking glowingly about lobotomies. And like someone asked him like, I mean, what happened to the person? And he goes, they became a very good patient.
Oh my God.
Totally was fine with the fact that they were like sticking chopsticks in people's brains, severing the
brain.
Dude, it's with a hammer, wearing that weird outfit. Why are they dressed like that?
And you know, they did a lot of those.
He did it. This doctor is credited with the majority of them.
So are they holding this guy down while they're doing this, or is he anesthetized?
I don't know.
I don't see any anesthesia.
I see a strap.
I see straps, and I see people holding his arms. Jesus Christ. You know how fucking terrifying that must be to feel that rod going into your brain and knowing they're going to turn you into a vegetable?
Yeah. Electroshock.
Dude, do you remember that guy that was running for vice president who had to admit that he went through electroshock therapy?
No.
Yes. It was during the McGovern Nixon campaign. Eagleton. It was McGovern's campaign, right? Yeah. McGovern was like one of the last hopes. He was one of the last, like, truly rational, what you really want out of someone that you consider a liberal, someone who's a compassionate, strong person who people thought that, you know, he could win. They thought that he could win.
Yeah.
And it says 72, over 2 weeks after the 1972 Democratic Convention, Eagleton admitted the truth of news reports that he had received electroshock therapy for clinical depression during the 1960s. McGovern initially said he would back Eagleton 100%, 1,000% but he didn't. He eventually had to let him go. And then it was too late.
Wait, that's what took him out?
That's what took him out.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Holy
Electroshock therapy for depression. Just for depression.
Don't people say it works?
You would be awarded if you had depression today. Today in this victimhood society,
oh, right.
If you said this vice president, he suffered from clinical depression, but he sought help, he would be a shining example. Look at him.
Yeah.
He's like us. He was clinically depressed. He got over it. He's a hero.
Yeah.
And then people would be fine with it.
Yeah, back then.
Back then, it was a giant sign of weakness. And they would shock your brain with.
I think it works.
Whoa.
Doesn't it have good results? I would rather not.
Maybe it's like smelling salt.
Have you watched videos of it? Because it's not like they're like vaulting you the whole time. They put these rods on your head and you like convulse for a second. It's very disturbing to
Maybe
watch.
it's like a reset, like Control Alt Delete for your brain.
Maybe it's like, yeah, maybe it's doing like something similar to what the psychedelics are doing. It's
Maybe
just
it's
like,
bringing you to a near-death experience because your body thinks it's being electrocuted. So
Yeah.
maybe it releases all of those psychedelic chemicals that they think it releases when you're in near-death experiences.
did you see that they think they found the mechanism for why psilocybin treats depression? Like they did some study on rat brains in a petri dish, and they were watching the way it interacts with psilocybin. It like block. Yeah, this is
Is
wild.
this someone getting zapped?
Nice hat for shocking people.
You have to wear a hat.
Yeah, but you don't need to have popcorn bags.
Her toes locked up. Like she got knocked out.
That's the receipt. There's old ones that really show the whole thing.
Dude. I wanted to bring something up, but I kept forgetting. I didn't want to interrupt your rant. I posted something. I retweeted something the other day about this boy that was raised by wolves in India.
Yeah?
Have you ever seen that?
No.
See if you can find that from a few days ago. I retweeted it. I want to know if it's true. And it's, I'm like, I was too lazy to Google it. I was like, I'll just bring it up on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, I just retweeted it. I take no responsibility for retweets.
It's the best way to fact check is just tweet something.
Also, retweets for me are just like, I think this is interesting. Maybe you will too.
All right.
That's what I do it for. So this is it. The Wolf Child in 1889. Wow, how do you say that word?
Bulandashar?
Bulandashar region of the Indian forest. There resided Dina Sanachar, a feral child of merely 6 years old. Sanachar lived amidst a wolf pack, adapting to their ways and partaking in their activities. This remarkable case serves as a vivid demonstration of the impact of environmental factors on human behavior. It exemplifies how the availability of resources, the upbringing environment, and the ability to adapt to surroundings during childhood can shape an individual's physical and mental abilities, ultimately ensuring survival. I mean, this is kind of what we've been talking about.
Yeah, totally, man.
Look at that kid. Look at his face. That's crazy.
I mean, this is probably why you should be very careful about who your friends are, because like you know, maybe we look like our dogs, but definitely like in a group of friends, you like warp. You will shift into like something that like harmonizes with all of them. So
well, how about girls who like become boyfriends with serial killers and they go and kill people together? They pick up girls and kill them together.
So crazy.
People have done that.
Crazy.
Like that's a real thing that's happened more than once, where a guy will be a serial killer and he'll convert his girlfriend to becoming a serial killer, and they can kill people together.
What does that conversation start off like?
According to
starts off with a lot of
the
meth.
only thing that's not true. The only thing that's not true about that story is that he wasn't the only kid. There was.
Oh wow.
He was at least one of two at that time. They found.
Oh wow.
There might have been a couple more.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Raised by wolves.
You know,
look at him.
It's like he got trained by a wolf. It's the reverse situation. Like,
look at that. He took up the habit of smoking cigarettes.
Wouldn't you if you were surrounded by wolves for your whole childhood?
I can't even relax.
It says there's at least
What
five
the
other.
fuck? At least 5 other? Did he learn how to talk and everything?
No, it said they never learned how to speak.
Wow.
Damn.
This reminds me of that video we played a few times from the Dark White Underbelly with that family.
Yeah.
The boy in Sleeman's story died a few months after being brought back to human society.
Whoa.
Couldn't deal with it.
in packs and they
Yeah.
communicate telepathically.
Yeah.
And they turn that thing into this adorable love sponge.
Dude, okay. When was the last time this connects? When was the last time you read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Oh, it's been a long time.
Okay. I think I must have read it when I was in high school
me
and
too.
just didn't pay attention. It's completely different from the movie. Like 100% different.
Or maybe I never read it.
Ken Kesey, he was like
Ken Kesey wrote it?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
So it's so psychedelic. The book is so psychedelic, but you know, like the idea is that the character McMurphy, Jack Nicholson's character, and again, this is my own analysis. I don't know what the actual like literary analysis of it is. He represents an undomesticated human, and the people in the ward are humans that couldn't function in what he calls society the Combine. They couldn't function in the Combine, so they're being brought into the asylums to get like re-domesticated so they could function in the Combine. And he represents like an undomesticated human who enters into like a conditioning center designed to melt people back down, build them back up, and send them out into the world and be good, functioning, domesticated humans. It's so good. It's so subversive, dude. It's such a brilliant, like, it's so funny how different the movie is from it. Like like Nurse Ratched, and again, because the narrator is Chief, that the big Native American dude who's in the movie, that's the narrator of the book. It's being told from his perspective. So you don't know like how much of what he's reporting is real and how much is like he's in a mental asylum, right?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I know, it's so good. But according to him, Nurse Ratched can control time. She'll speed up time so that like a year goes by in a day, or slow down time so that like a second lasts like 10 years. And that's just one of the many ways that she's basically torturing the people in the ward.
Oh my God.
She's constantly giving them drugs, tying them to their beds, and always this threat. This like threat is hovering, which is if you fuck up too much, if you get too angry at Nurse Ratched, who is a monster. Essentially, the way he describes it, it's the demiurge, just the Antichrist. Then you know what happens? It's gonna cut out your brain, turn you into a zombie.
And you know they really did that.
Yeah.
They really did that.
They really did that.
They really did that.
I had a professor in college who used to work at an asylum and was the weirdest dude ever. It was an awful class on like psychiatry, and he was kind of talking glowingly about lobotomies. And like someone asked him like, I mean, what happened to the person? And he goes, they became a very good patient. Totally was fine with the fact that they were like sticking chopsticks in people's, the brain, severing the brain. Dude, it's with a hammer, wearing that weird outfit. Why are they dressed like that?
And they did a lot of things.
Credited with the majority.
So are they holding this guy down while they're doing this, or is he anesthetized? I don't see any anesthesia.
I see a strap.
I see straps, and I see people holding his arms. Jesus Christ. You know how fucking terrifying that must be to feel that rod going into your brain, knowing they're going to turn you into a vegetable?
Yeah. Electroshock.
Remember that guy that was running for vice president who had to admit that he went through electroshock therapy?
Yeah.
Yes. It was during the McGovern Nixon campaign. Eagleton. It was McGovern's campaign, right? McGovern was like one of the last hopes. He was one of the last, like, truly rational, what you really want out of someone that you consider a liberal, someone who's a compassionate, strong person, who people thought that, he could win. They thought that he could win.
Yeah.
And this is 72, over 2 weeks after the 1972 Democratic Convention, Eagleton admitted the truth of news reports that he had received electroshock therapy for clinical depression during the 1960s. McGovern initially said he would back Eagleton 100%, 1,000%. But he didn't. He eventually had to let it go. And then it was too late.
Wait, that's what took him out? Was they...
That's what
Whoa.
Yeah.
Holy
Electroshock therapy for depression. Just for depression.
Don't people say it
You would
works?
be awarded if you had depression today. Today in this victimhood society,
Oh, right.
if you said this vice president, he suffered from clinical depression, but he sought help, he would be a shining example. Look at him.
Yeah.
He's like us. He was clinically depressed. He got over it. He's a hero.
Yeah.
And then people would be fine with it.
Yeah, back then.
Back then, it was a giant sign of weakness. And they would shock your brain.
I think it works. Doesn't it
try
have
it.
good results? I would rather not. It's
Maybe
if
it's
you,
like smelling salt.
Have you watched videos of it? Because it's not like they're like volting you the whole time. They put these rods on your head and you like convulse for a second. It's very disturbing to
Maybe
watch.
it's like a reset, like Control Alt Delete for your brain.
Maybe it's like, yeah. Maybe it's doing like something similar to what the psychedelics are doing. It's
Maybe
just
it's
like,
bringing you to a near-death experience because your body thinks it's being electrocuted. So
Yeah.
Maybe it releases all of those psychedelic chemicals that
Yeah.
they think releases when you're in near-death experience.
did you see that they think they found the mechanism for why psilocybin treats depression? Like they did some study on rat brains in a petri dish, and they were watching the way it interacts with psilocybin. It like blocks. Yeah, this is
Is
wild.
this someone getting zapped?
Nice hat for shocking people.
You have to wear a hat.
Yeah, but you don't need to have popcorn
her
bags.
toes locked up. Like she got knocked out.
That's the receipt. There's old ones that really show the whole thing.
Dude. I wanted to bring something up, but I kept forgetting. I didn't want to interrupt your rant. I posted something. I retweeted something the other day about this boy that was raised by wolves in India.
Yeah?
Have you ever seen that?
No.
Good. See if you can find that from a few days ago. I retweeted it. I want to know if it's true. I'm like, I was too lazy to Google it. I'm like, I'll just bring it up on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, I just retweeted it. I take no responsibility for retweets.
It's the best way to fact check is just tweet something.
Also, retweets for me are just like, I think this is interesting. Maybe you will too.
All right.
That's what I do it for. So this is it. The Wolf Child in 1889. Wow, how do you say that word?
Bulandashar?
Bulandashar region of the Indian forest. There resided Dina Sanachar, a feral child of merely 6 years old. Sanachar lived amidst a wolf pack, adapting to their ways and partaking in their activities. This remarkable case serves as a vivid demonstration of the impact of environmental factors on human behavior. It exemplifies how the availability of resources, the upbringing environment, and the ability to adapt to surroundings during childhood can shape an individual's physical and mental abilities, ultimately ensuring survival. I mean, this is kind of what we've been talking about.
Yeah, totally, man.
Look at that kid. Look at his face. That's crazy.
I mean, this is probably why you should be very careful about who your friends are, because like you know, maybe we look like our dogs, but definitely like in a group of friends, you like warp. You will shift into like something that like harmonizes with all of them. So
how about girls who like become boyfriends with serial killers and they go and kill people together? They pick up girls and kill them together.
So crazy.
People have done that.
Crazy.
Like that's a real thing that's happened more than once, where a guy will be a serial killer and he'll convert his girlfriend to becoming a serial killer, and they can kill people together.
What does that conversation start off like?
According to
starts off with a lot of
Snopes, the
meth.
only thing that's not true. The only thing that's not true about that story is that he wasn't the only kid. There was.
Oh wow.
He was at least one of two at that time. They found.
Oh,
wow.
There might have been a couple more.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they say
Raised
it's
by
true.
wolves.
You know,
Look at him.
it's like he got trained by a wolf. It's the reverse situation. Like,
Look at that. He took up the habit of smoking cigarettes.
wouldn't you if you were surrounded by wolves for your whole childhood?
I can't even relax.
It says there's at least
What
5
the
other.
fuck? At least 5 other? Did he learn how to talk and everything?
No, it said they never learned how to speak.
Wow.
Damn.
This reminds me of that video we played a few times from dark white underbelly of that family.
Yeah.
The boy in Sleeman's story died a few months after being brought back to human society.
Whoa.
Couldn't deal with it. He smoked out of the wolf's den. Where did he get cigarettes?
No. Did he? Is that what they're saying?
It said he smoked out of the wolf den. That's kind of weird, right?
So he lived in the wolf den? They kept him there?
Look, where was it? Scroll. Wait. The boy in Sleeman's story, like the boy who smoked out of the wolf's den, died a few months after being brought back to
No,
human.
it says like was smoked out of the wolf.
Oh,
den.
what? Oh, picture.
Like smoke him out, like George Bush. We're gonna smoke them out of their
Okay, I
holes.
gotcha. He wasn't like.
Remember when W said that?
Oh my
We're
god.
gonna smoke them out of their holes.
Oh my god. Dude, did you see that weird shit with Lindsey Graham? Like the way he's like, we're gonna kill Russians. Like it's the creepiest shit you ever saw. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Dude, it's so spooky.
Let me see it.
You'll have to. I don't know where I saw it, but it's like he's like with Zelensky, and he's
I
like,
just started getting a stomach ache.
dude, it's
Just you saying that, I started getting a stomach
the
ache.
way he talks about murdering people is really unnerving. You know where I saw it? I saw it on Tucker Carlson's first Twitter episode. Did you
Really?
see that?
No.
Tucker Carlson's new show on Twitter.
So what is the show?
It's just him like doing a monologue, basically. It's like a monologue.
So it's like his old show.
It's like his old show, but now he's been like unmuzzled. So it's like freebase Carlson. He's like going hard. And you know, it's weird. It's like these days, I think a sign that you're looking at a real journalist is you worry about them. You're like, they're gonna get.
Yeah.
You gotta shut up, man. Like you should.
Yeah.
They're gonna get you, man. What are you doing? Are you safe? Because it gives you that. It gives you that feeling. And you know what's really interesting about it? Like, you know, I get like people on the left are furious with him, and just like people on the right hate Rachel Maddow or whatever. But
Yeah.
he was mocked for talking about the UFO wreckage stuff. Like people in the comments were like, he's talking about UFOs, like he saw a crop circle and talked about it, not like.
Let's hear it. Here it is. Live free or die.
free. Yes. And we will be. And the Russians are dying. It's the best money we've ever spent. Thank you so much.
I expect in the coming days and weeks for the Ukrainian counteroffensive to yield results. And I'm here to tell you that the last chapter of the Battle of Bakhmut is yet to be written. I'm here to tell you that the Russian military is about to have holy hell unleashed upon them.
That kind of guy you don't want running anything. You
No,
don't want
dude.
that guy.
You don't want that guy running a fucking Starbucks.
Yeah, I don't want. He's a. That was creepy. Just the way to talk that way about something with so much weight on it.
Yeah, and at the point that you're
He's
like
talking like he's in a movie.
you're celebrating the human death, like essentially the human sacrifice of conscripts. Like you're celebrating human sacrifice, and somehow
It's human sacrifice that we've written off as being okay.
Russia gave him there's an arrest warrant out for him for those comments that he made from Russia.
He said my crime was speaking truth to power. God damn, I hate that phrase. That phrase gets fucking thrown around by a lot of morons. You know, I mean, I know it's a real phrase, and people, when they mean it, I get it. But my crime was speaking truth to power. That fucking freaks me out.
it freaks. Hawks are creepy, dude. Like it's like somehow they've managed to get to a place where they can publicly celebrate violent human, like the fail, just essentially like if war is a failure of humanity, right?
Yeah.
Like that's so people like him are celebrating the death. You're not like, it doesn't matter if you're doing the right thing. Those are still people.
It's also the way he's talking.
He loves it.
It just, I don't want anyone who gets to make those choices to talk like that. It says, my crime was speaking truth to power, said Graham. Russia has illegally invaded Ukraine. Putin has committed war crimes on an industrial level, and I'm going to keep talking about it. Freedom allows you to say the things I said. We live in a country where you can criticize your leaders. Well, that's kind of true, but it's just what you said with the magnitude of the weight of your words. It's on the line, and the whole world's listening. And that's what you said.
Yeah.
The best money we ever spent. Like, that's a crazy thing to say. The whole thing is, the Russians are dying. We're gonna.
It's not a fucking football game, man.
Exactly.
Like, this isn't a sport.
Exactly.
Like, what you like? Just like you can clearly, from like the micro, there are times where you're gonna have to use violence in a society. There's times where someone's losing their mind, swinging a samurai sword in the middle of the street, or whatever, and like cops have to take them out. There's obviously, this is obvious, but like to then like celebrate that you had to like kill a lunatic or something is so dark. Like, why not collect their scalps, Lindsey Graham? If you're so into this shit, why don't we start scalping the fucking Russians? Just cut pieces of, start wearing a necklace of Russian fingers. You know, if you're so into murdering people and also ignoring the demographics of the people who are getting fucking slaughtered. I mean, you can see videos of them being dragged out of their houses and taken to the middle of Ukraine to just get thrown into a fucking blender, dude. And that's what he's tap dancing about. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy, and that way of talking that he just did is like it's a standard politician's way of addressing a very complex issue. They do it with like there was a rah aspect to that. We're gonna unleash holy hell on them Russians.
Pep rally for murdering people, dude.
Yeah, because that is a football thing. Like saying it like that, that's like we're gonna go fucking kick their ass. It's a team,
right? But for sure, there is no financial motivation in what Lindsey Graham is doing.
No one would do that.
No.
All that money is just a coincidence.
Yeah. It's so fucking dark, man. Like, it's really so confusing to me. Because I guess I'm a naive idiot that people like that even exist.
Well, also they exist on the left now. That's what's weird.
Yeah. You mean like because yeah, right. Because the general like
Lindsey Graham, is he a Democrat or Republican?
Republican.
He's a Republican.
Right? He's a Republican.
So they're all united on this idea. But they're all united on this idea that they should continue. There's no one, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. Like, the Democrats were always anti-war. Always.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
This is the first time where the Democrats are, like, wholesale buying the narrative. And we have to stop Putin. We have to support Ukraine. I mean, how many Democrat, peaceful people that used to have syringes in their Twitter bio now have a Ukraine flag?
Right. Yeah. If you articulate just the general common sense reality that we don't want war.
We don't want war.
That we don't want anyone to die. I don't want Russians to die or Ukrainians to die. We want to elevate our species to the point where somehow we can get along with each other without like resorting to incinerating people.
And because the message is coming from Trump, the people completely dismiss it. But did you see that interview with him where he said I would end the Ukraine war in a day?
Right.
And he said, do you not want Ukraine to win? Do you want Russia to win? He goes, no, I want people to stop dying.
Yeah. I saw that. Dude.
It's perfect.
You're allowed to say that.
Let's find that. Because they're playing gotcha on a subject. They're doing gotcha interview real quick. You don't have much time with them, so you got to get a gotcha. And they're doing this with a subject that literally has the fate of the world in front of it.
Right.
Because if nuclear war breaks out, because of all this, and these people are just flippantly supporting this continued conflict with no talk at all about some sort of a compromise.
Yeah.
Some sort of a conversation.
Anything. Or just starting a conversation. Just starting one.
Let's hear this.
within 24 hours, that war has to be stopped. That war is a disaster.
Are you going to win next?
Cool socks.
No, that's
I
not.
need more time.
That's not the same interview. There was another interview. A woman was interviewing him, I believe, and she asked, I think it was a woman, asked if he wanted Russia to win. It was some weird gotcha. So they want people to stop that. Yeah, this is it. That's the CNN.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me just put it nicely. If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours. I'll meet with Putin. I'll meet with Zelensky. And within 24 hours, that war will be settled. It'll be over. It'll be absolutely over. I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking out.
So I paraphrased it, I fucked it up, but that's essentially the answer. I think maybe even after that, he might have actually said I want people to stop dying.
It's crazy that that's a controversial statement, and it's crazy that people can't, like, because he's saying it,
right?
They invalidate it. It's so weird, like that you know, like the truth. The idea is there's the truth, and that it doesn't matter like if it's coming out of like a radio that has like woven into it human skull fragments that Manson owned the radio. It doesn't matter if the radio is spewing truth. That's truth. It's truth. And I always thought that was sort of the general consensus, like among people who were sane, was it's not good to blow each other up. And I get it. It's like, okay, well, then what about when invasions happen? What about when land grabs happen? When some new creepy imperialism happens, or Hitler happens, or whatever? What about that? But like, look at the fucking letter. Gandhi wrote a letter to Hitler. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
You know, like, the idea is like, you just try. It's like worth trying. Like, get people to talk. Now, sit down. Even if you can't fail worse than war.
Right.
So any attempt at like stopping a war without World War III or violence or whatever, it's glorious. Even if it fails, even if it makes you look like a weak, pathetic piece of shit. Long term, you're gonna look great if you were a peacemaker in the world versus Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
The Lindsey Grahams, man, history does not look at them in a kind way.
Yeah, they're the evil characters when you watch a YouTube video on 9/11. It's these people behind the scenes. It's these people that lie about weapons of mass destruction. It's like there's like a type of person that you see that gets into office, and there's this shameless politician aspect of them that just gives me the creeps.
Dude,
just it gives me the creeps when
spooky.
anybody talks like that about war, because it's so consequential. Humanity's on the line, civilization's on the line, the future of your children's on the line, everything's on the line. And to like make it and boil it down to a rah football pep rally speech.
You know, an AI wizard out there who wants to do some kind of like something that will probably be very controversial needs to like put together a montage of the videos of all the drones blowing up Russians and replace the adults with kids, so that you see the children version of them being blown up. You know, because that's the weird thing about it. There's this, once you get to a certain height, at that point, we celebrate you getting exploded. But, you know, like, if kids were doing this shit, like, we would end it immediately, regardless of, this is like, if my kids are squabbling, and like, one of them bites the other or something, or like, whatever, like, it doesn't matter anymore about the fairness or whatever's happening. Like, you can't do that. Stop the violence.
Right.
Yeah, man. That's the thing, is like, to conduct a successful war, you really have to disconnect from the human reality of who is fighting the wars. Have you seen this Prigozhin? Is his name Prigozhin, the guy who runs his own like battalion, the private contractor who was like fighting Bakhmut, that crazy guy.
I'm not aware of this.
Basically, there was a video that popped up of like someone getting their head smashed in with a hammer. Who
I did
was
see
that? So it's like these people.
Who is that? The guy's head smashed.
He was somebody who didn't want to fight anymore.
That's what it was?
Yeah, and to send the signal out, like this is what happens if you try to run away. We'll just smash your head in.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So it's like
So he was a fellow Russian?
Yes. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the idea. Is like stop. Just know that the people who are out there thought it was a training mission, apparently, and if they try to defect and get out of there or whatever, they're probably going to get killed. So it's not like
was that a Russian guy that got killed or a Ukraine guy that got killed?
I thought it was a Russian dude.
You're saying, and I'm reading about him. Do you think he says he recruited prisoners? Is there any chance he?
He said he recruited. This is the guy that got killed. Is he the guy that got killed with the hammer? No. The guy that got killed with the hammer was just a soldier.
A soldier.
What am I talking about? This marijuana is just too strong. I can't follow the narrative.
You know what? I saw you go deeper than this time. I didn't do it. In so many of these episodes, I forget the potency of this. What you have here. It's so good. But yeah, man. Like.
So this guy ordered people out there, and then when people said, "Hey, this isn't a fucking a training run. This is a real war."
Yeah.
I don't want to fight in this war.
That's what I read. I don't know if that's true.
The guy seemed like resigned to his fate.
Dude,
it's crazy.
The thing is, when you so like the big critique of Russia that Lindsey Graham has is you get arrested if you say anything, right?
Yeah.
Meaning, if we have prisoners who've been quote recruited fighting out there, then Russia is sending anti-Putin people into a meat grinder to die. So you spoke out against Russia, you've been in a Russian prison, you get recruited, and then they just send you into all of these weapons given to Ukraine by the Western world. You're just dead. It's a death sentence. So that's so when you break it down at that level, suddenly it's not like these fucking Russians are like, let me go invade the place where my mother-in-law lives.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's not like that. It's like many of them are they have to do it. You just can't, there's no way out unless you want to die. So you have to choose, like, which way do I want to die? Want to get blown up by some fucking Ukrainian drone, or do I want to get my head smashed in, or just
on YouTube?
On YouTube.
Yeah.
It's really fucked up, man.
In all fairness,
I think they're changing, aren't they? Did I dream that YouTube was like loosening up so we could watch those videos again on YouTube?
Really?
I could be wrong, but I feel like there was some shift in their censorship model that was happening, but I could be wrong about that.
Well, it's not when it comes to RFK Jr. They're deleting his old podcast. They deleted one from Theo Vaughn from a year ago, and they had deleted one from Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson, which is more than a year ago too.
I did not know that.
They just did it.
What the fuck?
They just started doing it.
Isn't that illegal if someone's running for president? You can't do that, right?
I don't know what you could say, but it's because of misinformation, and this is, because he talks about vaccines, and he talks about who's environmentalism before he, was anything, and his whole thing was trying to hold companies accountable for what they're doing by ruining the environment and lying about it. And for them to take that guy and say, you can't do that with other stuff. You can't talk about other stuff. Like, how come no one wants to hear him out? How come no one wants to hear him out with that book, The Real Anthony Fauci, is fucking terrifying. And if it's not true, why isn't he getting sued? If that book is true, if all the things that he's saying and he has references for everything, if it's all accurate, we should all read that book. Everyone should read that book.
Right.
Because if it's true, it's terrifying. You've been captured by an industry that's forced you into becoming a source of income for them.
Dude, censorship has this component of condescension in it that is really, like, that to me is the worst part. Is essentially you're saying, you're too dumb to parse this information in a rational way.
Yeah.
So we're going to protect you from it because it's like a poison. It's going to infect your brain, and we have to protect you. That is really like, first of all, if you do, like, that's bad parenting in general. You know what I mean? Like, the idea would be that you, like, teach your kid to confront false things, learn why they're not real, and then instead of, like, trying to prevent your kid from seeing, like, everything. You know, I mean, I don't, obviously, like, I'm not letting my kid watch Blade Runner or some shit like that, but just that you get too overprotective with your kids, like, try to hide death from them, for example. That sort of thing. Like, you gotta trust we can deal with it. That it's safe for us to encounter all forms of information.
Well, the problem.
What?
Santa Claus gonna come and bring you all the toys. He's gonna come down the chimney. And he's gonna magically appear.
Yeah. Just teach your kid what the word egregore means, and you can do Santa Claus ethically.
What's egregore?
Egregore is like the name for like a thing that exists within the minds of a lot of people. It's an egregore. So like if enough people believe in something, does it have a material reality? Not necessarily. But within the psychic mind space, it's real. It's
right,
there.
Like Santa Claus is a thing.
Yeah, an egregore. Santa Claus is an egregore. There's no real Santa Claus, but there is a very vivid, living entity within the interconnected minds of everyone who believes in it. That's an egregore.
The problem is if you tell your kid that Santa's an egregore, and then your kid's going to tell all the kids at school, and then you're the asshole. That's the problem.
I'll be honest, Joe. I have not told my kids Santa's an egregore. I just thought of it. I'm like, maybe I'll do egregore this Christmas. But yeah, you're
There's
right.
like a battle. Like you get kids together, you know, and you ask,
Right.
you talk to parents like, hey, have you done the Santa Claus talk? No. Like, how old are they? They're 5 and 6. Like, if you get to that age where you're like, okay, when are you gonna tell these kids?
When do you tell?
When do you tell them? They don't like it when you tell them either. They get very sad.
So is that what these people think about us?
But it's weird that they grow up with a lie. That's what I don't like. You grow up with a lie. It's a stupid lie. And you convince a child that this lie that we all have mutually agreed upon. It's fucking kind of, Santa Claus is kind of dangerous. Because it sets people up at a very early age for the reality that, the possibility rather, that everything you believe in is bullshit.
It's misinformation, Joe.
But everything you believe in is propaganda. It's propaganda by your parents to get you to be good.
Yeah.
You better be good. You better be nice.
Better than hell. At least you're not doing the hell thing.
He knows when you are sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Yeah,
He's breaking child predator laws by monitoring kids.
Santa Claus is like the ultimate overlord in the sky.
It's a panopticon, man. It's a fucking materialistic panopticon. You're being constantly monitored by some mythical North Pole thing that's probably like, I guarantee, if we look at the way Santa is paying those fucking elves, I guarantee it's like they don't want to be there. Elves don't want to be in the North Pole.
Right.
The whole thing's fucked up. Add Elf on the fucking shelf. You know about Elf on the shelf?
We had to do that.
Elf on the shelf. Now you have like a little fucking plastic security camera that's watching your kids all the time. If they touch it, it loses its magic. So
Hilarious.
So you put into the kids this like neurotic thing. It's like, think of how many kids have touched Elf on the Shelf and not told their parents and live with that guilt. Like knowing they fucking depleted the elf's magic. It's not coming back. This is sinister at one level. You know, it is really fucking weird.
It's lies. And it's lies that are unnecessary. It's not lies about like something stupid. It's lies about like whether or not there's elves flying around your fucking house. Like you're getting your kids to believe in nonsense like very early on.
Well,
instead of just like reading fun books where they know it's pretend. Where you can just pretend.
And also when you realize like the whole thing is just connected to getting the economy to get a little better once a year. You know what I mean? The whole thing is just to drive up the fucking economy by manipulating children into believing in a fucking Santa Claus. That is wild.
You were saying something about psilocybin studies, about something about connecting the brain and memory. You're saying that they recently
Oh
discovered.
yeah, they did some study. The article I read was really funny because they're like, okay, we found the receptors that psilocybin is working on, and the way it affects the receptors is 1,000 times more potent than antidepressants. And now that they know where these receptors are, theoretically, they could invent a medicine that doesn't get people high. It's so sad.
Oh no!
You're celebrating that? Like, why? Wait, we already have the medicine.
No.
The medicine works. Why do we need to synthesize that? It grows out of the ground. But they're like, now that we understand it, we can synthesize it and take away one of the best things about it.
Duncan, we figured it out, and it's the best money ever spent.
Oh, God damn.
Same people.
Yeah, exactly.
Same people.
Exactly.
Instead of saying, hey, we should legislate, we should change the laws.
Right.
Like we really need to rally about this. This is an actual important medication for humanity.
Yeah.
It actually could make people nicer. It might have made people people.
Just the problem is, it's apparently too easy to grow those fucking mushrooms, man. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I
they
mean?
want to be here.
It's too easy.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't grow an antidepressant. Like you can't fucking create a Lexapro.
That's exactly the
Aquarium.
problem. We're captive. We're captive by this industry that uses you to make money on a regular basis and will oppose anything that gets in the way of that profit, even if that thing is overall net positive for humanity,
Horrible.
which psilocybin is.
Horrible, dude. I just revisited the thalidomide thing. You ever look into that?
Thalidomide.
Thalidomide. Thank you.
Yes.
That shit, like,
Terrific.
for like, it's kind of like the United States does the, what's the name of the incident they did in Vietnam that triggered the war, like the Gulf of Tonkin. So they do that.
I'm not ready.
And then we get in this stupid war. Okay, then we get the yellow cake, the yellow cake thing to justify the invasion of Iraq, right? Comes out, that wasn't real. We just buy into that somehow now we got better. Like now it all makes sense. So the thalidomide, it's a perfect example of a pharmaceutical company pushing shit that they knew was hurting kids. They wanted to sell it in the United States. They knew it was fucking kids up. They somehow warped the studies in a way. They warped them so much. There was one woman, I can't remember who was like, they were trying to get the right to sell it in the United States. And she's looking at the study and like, this is too good. Like something is off here. Like this doesn't make sense for any, like generally anything has like more side effects than this shit that they gave whoever she was. I wish I could remember her name. But the point is, man, like to imagine that stopped, to imagine like that was the only time that's happened and that will never happen again with pharmaceutical companies is really crazy.
Well, it's really crazy that all it took was the pandemic for people to think that way. But the problem is the way you think about it with the information that you have about thalidomide, with the information you have about the opioid crisis and the Sacklers, yeah. I mean, and they just got immunity for like, they gave up immunity for like $6 billion. Wow. They bribed.
Yeah, they bribed.
They bought their immunity. I mean, they lied. The companies they owned lied. They got people addicted. They lost lives. So many lost lives.
Yeah, dude.
So many lost lives. Vioxx, the Vioxx scandal. They killed 60,000 people in America.
Same with thalidomide, by the way. Apparently no one went to jail for that shit. Like nobody went to jail. No
But
one.
the thing is, that's how that business is. That business has always been like that. And we're one of 2 countries in the whole planet Earth that allows them to advertise.
Those commercials are so weird, Joe.
They're psyops. Every commercial is a psyop. Every commercial makes you think that you're going to be at that barbecue. You're like, I don't have any friends, but if I take this, I'll be laughing and I'll be on that raft with everybody else, going down the river, having a good old time. That's what I need. That's what I need. Yeah.
I can't get that song out of my head.
All I needed was a little fucking electric pad on each ear.
I'm better now. Thank you.
Or some psilocybin, or exercise, or all of the above,
Yeah,
except
man.
for the electric shock. Yeah. I
They
mean,
shouldn't be allowed to advertise, and they should not be allowed to have any lobbyists affecting our government.
And the amount of money they're making right now, bro. like they want to keep making that money. That's the thing about money. When a corporation has growth, when they have like massive growth, like these pharmaceutical drug corporations had when they're manufacturing a medication that everybody had to take, when they make that money and then it's over, or they don't want to go back to like 2018 levels.
No.
Fuck that.
You can't.
You know, we got to figure out a way to sell more.
Yeah, you just want to
come
sell
up
more.
with some new thing.
And I think when you get in those corporations, when you're working in them, it's a filter bubble. So like, you know, if you look at corporations as cults, you know, there's a cult-like aspect to corporations. So you get into the cult, and then over time you get indoctrinated into like resonating with whatever their particular version of reality, whatever their reality tunnel is. And so I think in that reality tunnel, they truly believe that everything they're doing makes sense, that it's good to do, that it's all justified. Because some of them, when confronted, they seem authentically shocked. Like they seem like, wait, we're trying to help. Like they don't seem to have connected to how weird it is to have that massive a profit margin when it comes to giving people medicine to heal them. You know what I mean? Like the idea being just generally you should not be profiting off of diabetics at the level you are with insulin. You know, like generally.
Selected top diabetes drugs expected to sell until 2020 and 2024. Wow.
They make a lot of money on diabetes drugs.
Jesus
Ozempic's
Christ.
included in that.
So with these diabetes drugs, they make a lot of money off this stuff. And if people all got healthy, that would all go away.
Exactly. So then there's that weird, you know, if you want to sell umbrellas, you need a terrain. So then, you know, weirdly, the moment you start making mega profit off of people's sickness, you have under the surface of everything, you need people to be sick to continue to take those great fucking vacations.
Yeah.
Like, and so that's where it gets really creepy, right? That's the creepy part, because you
need them to be ill. You want them to be ill.
And then, you know, I don't know if you looked up, like, I don't know the exact amount, but apparently there's a huge percentage of money coming into networks from the pharmaceutical companies, like that's holding them up, which is why, you know, I guess you could just understand how much money they're getting just every time you see a pharmaceutical company commercial come on anything you're watching. Make note of that, and then you can see how much that programming is being paid for by these companies. Dude, that's really spooky, man, because then
then they become kind of the de facto government. They become sort of like the communications mouth of the country. I mean, because that's essentially what news anchors are. Do you see, is it true, this thing about Anderson Cooper that they're saying that he was given $12 million to promote vaccines? Somebody posted that on Twitter.
12
and I was
million?
like, what? That they gave him $12 million to promote
Is that
vaccines
true?
during the pandemic?
That's definitely reshaping everything. His contract is for $12 million a year. So that's just his contract with CNN.
So why are they saying it like that?
Well, because they want people
But
to
I
repeat
think
it.
it
It's
was like a
headline.
fairly reputable source, right?
I mean, I just typed in Anderson Cooper 12 million. There's articles from a couple years ago about that's what his
Okay,
what he reportedly earns.
Right, but it
says he won't leave his son in his inheritance because he comes from a very rich family.
right, but was it 12 million on top of that they asked him? Did you find that? So to promote vaccines.
How would someone know that?
I don't know that, but maybe they do, maybe they don't. But let's find out. So it says Anderson Cooper was given $12 million to promote vaccines.
Yeah, there's a website called. It's not a reputable website that says Pfizer pays millions to CNN for COVID jab promotion, which is like that's.
Well, they pay for ads,
right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's what that is.
Okay, so that's a slippery way of phrasing things, just like that other stupid fucking headline.
You can't.
What was the other stupid headline again that drove us nuts? Oh, about Al Pacino.
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, you
Same
just you
shit.
can't skim.
How gross is that? But that stupid headline was crazy because that made it look like, oh my God, there's money grubbing whore, and he's mad and he got a paternity test. He's like, not so.
Yeah.
I love it that my loads work. Hooah!
Mother time.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, you know, the issue is regardless of whether like someone's writing someone a check, or whether or not it just is in your paycheck from the company that's getting checks from another place. It's just like, it's adding this like extra, it's like the people who put their money in the Cayman Islands or whatever. It's like adding this extra layer to you getting money from those corporations.
Yeah.
It's also what they do at firing squads, right? We only put...
there's only so many people have bullets.
Right. So you if you want to ignore the reality that some of the journalism you're doing is like being warped a little bit by the network potentially. I don't know if this happens. I'm guessing it does. To Matt, it probably doesn't, dude.
Maybe doesn't. Maybe.
Man,
maybe they really think that way.
I'm a little stoned right now.
I get it.
But it creates this ability for you to sort of like cope with that cognitive dissonance. So like you don't have to like go home and think, am I really a journalist?
This is what you might have seen.
Breaking. Robert Kennedy Jr. claims that 80% of Anderson Cooper's $12 million salary comes from Pfizer.
I read an article that was saying that he was. Can't find the interview yet, but in an interview he said that that 10 million of that 12 is coming directly from Pfizer, and he's promoting it separately. But I don't know where he got that information from.
Can you find what percentage of advertising dollars for CNN comes from pharmaceutical companies?
Not CNN specifically, but in that same article I was seeing with this, he makes the claim, which we've read before, is that 75% of advertising revenues in the mainstream media comes from that. But I just found an article from February. It says at least for TV that's down, but it's because they're changing the spending to digital buys. So
you see they fired the CNN guy, the top guy again?
Who?
The guy's only been there for a year.
Oh yeah, my wife was telling me something like that.
Because it keeps imploding. CNN's imploding.
All right. Yeah, they just can't seem to like get the air back in the tire, can they?
Yeah, they've got a stink on them.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
they kept Don Lemon in there too long.
Fuck.
They kept him in the box too long.
Dude.
People didn't like him. They felt like he was,
Naked and Afraid, Don Lemon,
that's
Tucker
the show.
Carlson.
That's how he comes back.
Yeah.
I got my money on Tucker.
Yeah, well, he's like, I don't know if Don Lemon's a fisherman, but I think Carlson's like gonna like, I bet Carlson will bring a fishing pole, like that you can bring two things or something like that. He'll probably bring his fishing pole. What does Lemon bring?
I don't know. Alone would be better. Alone's the best. I love
that show so much.
That's the best. They throw you to the wolves. You're by yourself with like a bow and arrow and a hatchet.
So good.
You get like 3 things. You get a bucket. Like
I was hooked on that show. So fun to sit on your couch, like eating and watching these people out there starving in the cold.
I had a guy who was on who won it, Jordan Jonas. And it was a ringer if there was ever a ringer. Because he's lived in Siberia with like the indigenous tribes. And
that's the unfair part of the show.
Yeah.
Have to finish the campaign when you start your first character. You have to do the campaign once, and you cannot progress to the higher difficulties if you have not finished it. So this is really the main objective. So when you start out with a character, you will focus mostly on the Act 1 campaign, Act 2, etc. You just go through it. You can kind of do it in the order you want for the early acts, but generally you want to go act by act, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the end. So as you go, the minimum levels of the zones will increase. So in the lower world tiers, monsters have like a vastly different minimum level. So it starts at level 1 here in Fractured Peaks. Most people have seen that from the open betas, etc. And then it kind of increases counterclockwise. So Scotsglen is like level 10 to 15. And then Dry Steps is like level 20, 25. And then you have like Kyrgyzstan a bit like 30, 40. and hours are like 40, 45. So it kind of like increases like this, and you go all the way around the world here. Now the thing is that if you play only through the campaign, you will actually be underleveled, and it might become quite difficult later. You don't want to be underleveled by too much, because bosses are gonna get hard, the fights are slow, or you might not even be able to do it. So you can do some side content while doing this. In particular, I recommend doing the first renown objective in each of the regions at the very least. So if you press renown, we have the first skill point that you get for, I believe, only 200 renown that you have to unlock, which is not very much. You see that you get a lot from simply the altars, and from maybe doing a side dungeon here and there, or a stronghold or two. And the waypoints, they give a lot of renown. So you get the first skill point default, and you can even think about getting the second or even the third renown in a region here and there. The second is quite nice for the potion, at least early in the progression. You do rely on potions quite a lot, so it may be worth picking up 1 or 2 potion slots. And then, of course, you get another skill point here at Renown 3. Renown 3 does take a lot longer than just the first 1 or 2. So you might only want to do this if you really have like a long stretch of being underleveled in regards to the campaign quests, and then you can go around maybe for like an hour or 2, try to do some side content, and you get at least some renown down here. But for the most part, you want to level your renown kind of equally in each of the regions, because the first rewards are very easy to get, and they're also more powerful than later rewards. And this also ties in with the strategy that you're going to continue later after the campaign, which is going for the full renown completion. So once you are around level 40, 45, 50, you will have completed the campaign, and then it's time to go Nightmare difficulty. So Nightmare difficulty starts at level 50, it ends at level 70, and you can unlock it a little bit earlier if you want to. So you can just go to difficulty 2, in the World Tier statue you can change it, and then you have the capstone dungeon that you have to finish, which is in Kjolvashad. It's the Cathedral of Light, this is here, up there. So it doesn't show right now because I'm on the wrong difficulty. But looking at the difficulty overview, you can see Nightmare starts at 50 and goes to 70, and then you have Torment 70 plus. So this is where you're gonna spend most of your progression. In general, you want to advance to the higher difficulty as soon as possible if you can handle it. So there are 2 main reasons for that. One is the higher XP. You can see here, monsters give 100% increased experience, up from 20% or 0 from the first 2 difficulties. And on Torment, you have 200% bonus XP. So you get massively more experience for monsters of the same level just by being in the higher difficulties. And on top of this, you can also find more items. So there's a unique items that starts dropping. There's even more uniques in Torment. And you also have the sacred items and the ancestral items. So these are those like glowing items here. Effectively, they have a higher maximum item power range. So I don't know exactly, but sacred is something like around 600 to 720 or so. And then ancestral is something like around 680 to 820. So you can get much higher item powers, and there's different item stat breakpoints at certain item power levels. So for example, at 625 and at 725, all the stats on items can increase to the next tier. So in general, you just get very powerful items. And the thing is that the items that you find in Nightmare and Torment difficulties actually do not have a certain level requirement anymore, but the level requirement is always going to be exactly your character's level when you find it. So you see this here that some of these items can be quite low. This is level 91, this is level 82, this is level 73. These are exactly the levels I found those items on. And some of these items are much higher. Here's a 98, for example. And this means that, for example, compared to trying to fight high-level monsters in the first world tiers, like, for example, people might remember the Quartergan farm. Yeah, it's the stronghold with the corpses that people were doing in the Soror Slime and in open beta. And you would find the items that were higher than your character's level and you couldn't equip them. But this actually does not happen in the later levels. So as soon as you go to Nightmare difficulty or to Torment difficulty, you can find those sacred and ancestral items and get a pretty massive power spike immediately once they drop. So even though Nightmare says 50 to 70, you can go there earlier and you can find sacred items that don't require level 50. So as long as you can kind of handle it, even if it's a bit slow, it might be worth doing it, because you can get those sacred items and you find them pretty early, pretty quickly. As soon as you fight a few elite packs or something like that, you maybe do a dungeon or 2, you will find some of these items and you will get a massive power spike at that point. In my opinion, the best way to profit from those higher difficulties, especially early when you're still underleveled and kind of weak, is to do either strongholds, because strongholds actually override the minimum level of monsters. They're always +2 of your character. So even if you're like level 40 or something, you go into nightmare difficulty and the stronghold monsters will be 42 instead of 53. So they are much easier, but monsters below level 50 cannot drop sacred items. At the very least though, you can profit from the higher XP and gold values. And another thing you can do is easy outdoor content. So outdoor content is generally easier than, for example, dungeons, and especially nightmare dungeons. So you want to kind of stay away from those while you are really underleveled and really undergeared, and instead just focus on those quests. They help you with the renown as well. They give you some rewards here and there. They can give you some potions, some items. So it's kind of nice. And they bring you closer to the goal of finishing the renown everywhere. So side quests and strongholds are the easiest content to do when you're underleveled. And you can combine this with the waypoints and the altars that you can kind of just find on the way, especially if you have the map open on another screen or so. I have that link in the description. And you basically get like half or even more of the total renown already from just doing these kind of things a little bit. You don't have to do every single side quest. Usually like 10, 15 or so per region is fine, as long as you do all the other stuff. So especially once you enter nightmare difficulty, you want to fully focus on renown all the way until you have done everything. You want to collect those skill points, you want to collect those paragon points later. They give you a pretty decent power spike, and it will help you all the way from there to level 100 and beyond, basically. So you want to do the renown at some point because it's free character power, and character power is limited in this game, so you want to try to get as much as you can. And there are two different strategies here. So if you focus on only one character, which I guess most people will do, you want to level all of the regions kind of equally. So you start with renown 1 everywhere, then renown 3 everywhere, and then renown 5 everywhere, and you go all around. And you do 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then 3, 3, 3, 3, etc. The reason for that is that these have the biggest power spikes, so the skill points are good, and then later the paragon points. The orbos is useless, and the potion is also not that impactful in the late game. So this is kind of nice early, but don't really rely on potions too much for the most part. But if you level a lot of different characters, or if you want to start an alt or something like that, you want to change your strategy a little bit. And you actually want to fully finish region by region instead. The reason for that is that you do have this shared renown progression on your account, but if you, for example, unlock renown 4 on one
All right, let's take a look at this. Diablo 4. Big buffs and nerfs tomorrow. Fuck. I feel like as a barbarian, I'm getting... I think I'm getting kind of fucked, guys. I do. I think I'm getting kind of fucked.
Hello and welcome back to Raise Gaming and Diablo 4. The big question today is this: when are we finally getting that big balance patch that's been looming over us for a while now? We've had hotfixes.
Fuck the balance patch. When are we gonna get the fucking patch that gives you experience for nightmare dungeons? I'm so fucking sick of running, like, I don't want to run normal mode dungeons. Like, this is fucking boring. Like, I just kill everything in one hit. What the fuck?
All changes day after day after day, and then suddenly all of that stopped, and it's felt like a big balance patch with a lot of that put together into one patch seems to be coming, and it really seems like that's going to be this Tuesday, the 27th. As displayed on the launcher, both Monday and Tuesday will have live maintenances. Further, we have this really hopeful and exciting tweet from Adam Fletcher, the global community developer director for the game.
Some nightmare pushes. When do I get in? When do I have the patches out? Very, very soon. I mean, that's great. I'm glad. No, you're saying that because you're an OP Barbarian? I don't think Barbarian is that overpowered right now. Hoda is? I still don't think Hoda is that overpowered. Like, didn't Rob put out a video today or yesterday of him 3-shotting a world boss with his Necromancer? That's a lot. And yeah, Bob starts for Lilith, yeah. And like, yes, I think Barbarian's great for farming dungeons for sure. Like with Whirlwind, absolutely. But that's not the only thing in the game.
The awaited patch that we're looking for is coming, quote, very soon, as of June 25th, which was Sunday. And also, we generally expect Tuesdays as the patch days based on the history of the game so far. And with a major maintenance occurring over 2 days,
that's what WoW
ending
does.
on the Tuesday itself, well, it looks very likely. A neat aspect of these maintenance is that the game will actually be, more unstable than normal, but will still run. You'll still be able to play. You won't be locked out of the game, as also confirmed by Adam Fletcher. So nothing is confirmed, but they continuously skirt around the topic without direct confirmations, but heavily suggest it at this point. I don't know, do they do this as a way to protect themselves? Like maybe if there's a delay or something? That patch
yeah, they probably just don't want to say something, because if they say something, then everybody's going, like, but you said it. And I get that. That's smart for them to do, because I'd be probably one of those people.
It's apparently 13 pages long, which is certainly a lot bigger than anything else we've seen for balance or changes for the game so far. But either way, a balance patch is coming and is pretty overdue at this point. Whether it's Tuesday or not, what are we expecting? As discussed in various forms by the dev team, buffs are coming. So far, they've been much more on the nerf side of things with the changes, and they have acknowledged...
I think they need to buff Whirlwind and Barbarian. I don't think Barbarian's good enough. I think our survivability is too low. I just think they need to buff Barbarian, just like in general.
I'd recommend the full Fireside chat.
It is what it is.
But the general gist is that buffing has, wider reaching consequences, often unintended, compared to, say, nerfing. So they've been a lot more careful in testing before letting those land, and I think that's fair enough. With those buffs coming, what is it we're actually expecting? Which classes and why? I'll tell you what I want buff. The stash. Give me 10 times the amount of slots and put it in.
That's a good fucking point. Holy shit, that's a good point. Yeah, the stash sucks big fat dicks. It's just annoying. It's just extremely fucking annoying.
Game immediately. I have 6 bank characters just to make space, and honestly, it's really dumb. There's no good reason for that. But aside from that and my saltiness, let's talk about what we expect to help for in this upcoming...
Well, I swear to God, like, if they add these tabs into the store, I will lose $500, right, immediately because of the bet with that guy. And...
patch. The number one obvious and confirmed buff is the Nightmare Dungeons and their value. As they've made it crystal clear, they want us to...
they don't need to increase the value of Nightmare Dungeons. They need to increase the experience. I think that, like, if you do Nightmare Dungeons a lot, like I do, you know that Nightmare Dungeons give way more ancestral items. They do. They give way more, and I can fill up an entire bag, but they don't give better experience. And the thing is, people cap out on gear anyway at like 80 to 85 usually. Probably sometimes even earlier than that. So, like, what are they really doing them for? They're doing it for the experience, not the gear.
Run Nightmare Dungeons as the end game, and not really like regular dungeons for better time to XP.
Yeah, it's fucking boring.
Nerf that to prevent that. The problem.
I would be fine with dungeons for regular. I would be fine doing regular dungeons, but I'm not fine doing regular dungeons whenever I have to join a group to reset them. It's fucking annoying. And also, like, that doesn't make sense. What makes sense is that you do the hardest content and you get the best gear. That's what makes sense.
So far with that is they've done a pretty poor job of incentivizing them properly, ruining everything else to push it into something that's just okay, doesn't feel great. And some of the benefits of Nightmare Dungeons weren't even explained to us in-game. Like, did you know that Nightmare Dungeons have a much higher rate for
I mean, anybody that's played the game knows this. I mean, they should have said this. It's stupid that the only way that we know this is because one of the devs said that. And I think that, like, how many you guys have all experienced this, right? Whenever you're doing like a 40, a 50, like I haven't done 60s yet, but if you're doing a 60 or higher, like way more ancestral shit drops.
It's quite ancestral drops. We learned that one via Twitter, again as a random reveal by the associate game director. These things really should be listed and told to you in game, maybe like when you're looking at world tiers, referencing the dungeons. I don't know. But in any case, the Nightmare Dungeons need to have more value than other content if they want to encourage players to engage with them. They've confirmed that they're increasing the XP for these generally, which is a good first step. But I'd also like to see other changes like greater elite density, maybe make the legendary RU.
I don't know if I want to see more like packs of 20 elites, but what I feel like, how many of you guys that do dungeons, like it's feast and famine, where like you're 2 fallen, 3 fallen, 1 fallen, and a fucking one of the little guys that resurrects in the shaman, and then there's a big boy, and then 7 elites, and then 2 fallen. There's a chest. Right? It's just like, what the fuck is this, right? Like, I think that they need to have some form of, like, higher elite density. And I think also, you know, the truth is, I think they should 10x the chance of getting treasure goblins. Like, each time, like, imagine if, like, from 1 to 10 per dungeon was, like, a 10% chance. Like 10 to 20 was a 20% chance, and it just went up from there. So like if you're doing 50, so there's like a 50% chance you're gonna get a treasure goblin. Because I think that it would be more interesting than just add more elites. Because I want to see more butchers. I want to see a Leoric. I want to see more treasure goblins. I want to see more interesting events. Goblins aren't good. They're better than fucking fallen shamans. I think goblins are cool. I like treasure goblins. What the fuck? Butcher on high keys is stupid? Oh, too bad.
Unique drops better the higher tier dungeons you do to actually encourage that beyond just glyph XP, which just isn't good enough. We also know we're going to eventually get a teleport to active Nightmare Dungeons, which will be a nice quality of life, but I'm not sure if that...
Here's some ways to fix Nightmare Dungeons, all right? Number 1, you have one that, special affixes. Special positive affixes. Number 1, every elite is replaced with the Butcher. Number 2, there are going to be hordes of treasure goblins. So there's like, you open up an area and there's like 20 treasure goblins in there. And you have to kill all of them. And if you kill all of them, you get some fucking special reward. That would be badass. Dopamine dungeons. Yep, that's what you call them. It's like you want to have dungeons that are really exciting and cool. And I think that they don't really have a lot of that shit. That's what's disappointing about it. Nightmare Dungeon only consists of there? Yeah. The Cellar Butcher is insanely hard compared to Dungeon Butcher. Should make a boss version of him like Diablo 1 and Diablo 3. Oh, like you go into like that fire area? Yeah, that'd be badass. Unique dungeons? I think that they should have unique dungeons. Like they should have unique dungeons that are callbacks to Diablo 1, 2, and 3. Like really iconic areas. Like, for example, isn't it weird that we don't